as people who rightfully support you. And I think it's just important because I think the healing has, and I'm more into the healing than the, oh, it's Elijah's fault, it's Malcolm's fault. But my generation is gonna love Malcolm by far, just because of social media. You get what I'm saying? And there's no, and if they don't have the nuts and bolts of the truth, then the narrative of Elijah Muhammad will go to me, and then it's gonna go to my son, and then it's gonna go to my grandkids because they're gonna learn their history. You get what I'm saying? So I think it's just important that men like you,
and see, you and I on coming from the same spirit, brother Fred. And when you get the book, you'll see that the last two chapters
yes,
of the book are literally called "Healing the Wounds."
yes,
And they include transcripts from Minister Farrakhan's message with Betty Shabazz at the Apollo, and he spoke the next day at Mosque Number 7, going more into detail of his history with Malcolm X. But I'm not passionate out of ego. I'm passionate out of wanting to get facts out there, and I encourage everyone to read the book, because I pick up the book sometimes, because when you're doing a thing, you sometimes kind of like, you're in it. I pick it up and like, man, this is some powerful stuff. You know what I mean? But it's well documented. And I think that it's a pleasant surprise for many people who thought that they had a real grasp on this narrative. But, I think that, and I say this in the book, I want to demonstrate that you don't have to hate Malcolm to love the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And you don't have to hate the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to love Malcolm, And I think that, for me, coming up like a lot of us did, with all kind of family dynamics, it's all type of dysfunctionalities in Black families, right? And a lot of us have seen sometimes that there can be rifts and beefs between parents and their children, and sometimes they're strong, sometimes they are significant, sometimes not so much, but most of the time, if there's no interference, the two conflicting parties, especially in the case of parents and children or siblings, they come back to reconciliation. The problem where the Nation of Islam and Malcolm was concerned was that when there were internal issues, our government, the federal government of the United States, sought to exacerbate that. They wanted to create a war to kill two birds with one stone. They wanted to destroy Black people in our movement toward freedom and independence. So they interfered. They manufactured a conflict and made it bigger than what it would have organically been. See, in Islam, Brother Fred, if there's a husband and a wife who are having problems, if they go into a separation, no one in the community is permitted to interfere. You can't sit back and say, man, that sister look good. I hope her and that brother get a divorce, and then I'm going to put my bid in. You know what I mean? A sister can't say, oh, wow, they on the outs. Let me try to slide in. Let me whisper in his ear and tell him to leave his wife, et cetera, et cetera. In the Islamic community, the goal and the hope of the whole community is for reconciliation. So everybody stays out of it. No one is permitted to interfere, because when you have a breach in a relationship, if there are third parties whispering in this ear and that person's ear, something that could have been reconciled becomes irreparable damage. And so you can see in my book the transcript of when the FBI literally came to Malcolm seeking to recruit him to become an agent against the Honorable Elijah Muhammad during his suspension. We show what they were calling the FOI leadership claiming that if the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came to New York, because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came to New York in the summer of '64. And so the FOI leadership was being given messages that if you come, Malcolm's followers are going to kill the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So here is this outside interference creating this charged atmosphere.
I agree.
You know, but in the final analysis, you want to blame the nation. And here's the funny thing about it. This is a real funny thing about it, right? So let's just say, you know, ain't nothing I could say that could convince you that the nation wasn't responsible for Malcolm's death. And so now you don't want to have nothing to do with the nation. Pause for a minute and reflect over all of the leaders, American leaders, that Americans have killed. Yet you hardly ever hear anybody say, because America has killed one of its own leaders, I no longer want to live in this country. I no longer want to be an American. I just want to get up and leave because they killed their own. No, you get up every day, you barbecue on the 4th of July, you go and you work your job, you ride down to the beach, you happy to be in America. You say, well, at least I ain't in some third world country where we can't watch no TV. You see what I'm saying? So it becomes this double standard that I would argue is, albeit still rooted in the popular Black self-hatred that many of us are beset with, where it becomes easier for us to believe negative things about other Black people when something bad happens. I posted on the internet, this is funny, I posted on the internet that a brother had put up a picture of the Panthers, Malcolm, Garvey, and Hoover. And the caption was, you know, about Hoover trying to take down Black organization. And I said, you know, brother, it's amazing that over and over again, COINTELPRO is painted as though, you know, the Panthers were the ultimate target. Yet the documentation states that there was more labor in terms of the man hours worked by agents, more money, more time, and for a much more protracted duration, the Nation of Islam was the target. And some brother commented to my comment, well, what about the Muslims in Newark that killed Malcolm? And I'm like, you know, how is that even relevant to this conversation? It's kind of like, you know, when we talk about police brutality and then some Black person says, well, what about Black on Black crime? No, wait a minute. Black on Black crime is an issue. We can get to that. But right now, let's deal with the enemy who really facilitates even Black on Black crime. I tell young brothers in the prisons all the time, brother, be careful, because it ain't just the Nation of Islam and the Panthers that are infiltrated. Bloods is infiltrated. Crips is infiltrated. Folks is infiltrated. People is infiltrated. All of the street organizations are infiltrated. And the net result is brothers end up killing each other. So Dr. King said this as I put a pin in it. They were asking Dr. King, he was speaking to the SCLC. And at a certain point, you know, they were saying, well, Dr. King, what about the violence in the cities? These young people, they just burning down their own cities and such and such and so and so. And they was all in a huff over the youth, you know, setting fires and riots and everything. And Dr. King said this. He quoted Victor Hugo. Victor Hugo said it like this. He said, when darkness is created, crimes will be committed. He said, the guilty one is not the one who committed the crime, but the one who created the darkness. He said, a white power structure have created darkness in the ghettos of America that are the precipitants and the antecedents of crime on behalf of Black people. So when you have a government that is infiltrating and working to destroy Black organizations, yeah, you may have a brother that pulls the trigger, but who are the one that created the situation in the first place? That's where we have to get to as a people, because otherwise we end up continuing to see one another as enemies. And I argue, as the minister has argued, we need one another. We need the Panthers. We need the Moors. We need the Masons. We need the AKAs. We need the Baptists. We need the Jehovah's Witnesses. Right. We do not, as a people, we don't have the luxury of being disunited.
Right.
So let's find a way to unite. And once we get to freedom, if we want to rehash some of our old disagreements, we can do it on the other side of freedom.
How about we do that? We do that. That's better, man. Hey, you got one more question for him. I got one more question. We'll get you. I know you're gracious with your time. Agents are everywhere.
That's right.
Isn't that the truth, man? You know what I mean? DB?
Yeah, man. I got about 50 more questions.
Come back. We're gonna have them back in May. Is May enough time? Is May enough time? Is May good?
Sure.
May?
Yeah, we can. I mean, if you want to come back before then, if you have an opening, we can do that.
Oh, yeah, we do. Oh, March, April.
Yeah.
April, for sure.
Yeah, I want to talk about, man, how to eat to live. I want to talk about Ramadan. I want to talk about the FOI, MGT, GCC. I want to talk about all of that. I want to get people introduced to the culture of the religion, and the lifestyle. But man, I don't have any more questions at this moment, because everything is going to take some time for us to go through. But man, I'm so glad to have you here and have you speaking with a strong feeling of enthusiasm and excitement. And I'm excited and happy. I'm gonna listen to this. I'm gonna listen to this show probably 50 times, over the next month or two. And look forward to having you back in here with us again soon. Oh, by the way, Fred, I was trying to add the link to the book, and I'm having some problems with my phone. Can you add the link?
Yeah, I will. I will for sure. I definitely will. And I share that sentiment. Thank you for coming in. I'm thoroughly excited to hear like your primary evidences. You know what I mean? Because I have a bunch of mine on my own, and I will be glad just to sit and listen to you and because it's literally split in the chat 50-50, as it pertains. No, I'm being honest, as it pertains to like Elijah Muhammad is honorable and respectable, and then you have people who say well we want the truth, and I'm on the side of just tell the truth, and that's why I said at the top of this, like if Louis Farrakhan wrote a letter to Louis X and left it for the people, I think that would allow healing to take place, because there's some things that my understanding that maybe Louis X knows that hasn't been said, so that's I may be wrong. I may be wrong, but I would hope that I'm wrong, what I mean? And that would be
I was just saying this, Brother Fred, I really appreciate your sincerity. And I appreciate you being a man that studies and reads and has a critical mind. Very important, brother. And I don't care if it's me or if anybody, you should always question. You should always, go and do your own research. And, we don't have the time to unpack it all tonight, but I'm happy that there are those that have tuned in, and I appreciate even those brothers and sisters who disagree with me, because that's not going to keep me from being your brother. We have more in common than we have at variance. And sometimes you come to find that it's in the work and in the labor of trying to help our people that our disagreements actually evaporate, because we begin to engage with one another around issues of common concern and interest. And that's why I want to see us go, because, we can argue ideological things all day long, but if we are committed to do what we can to help our people, then, hey, man, I think that that's the way forward for us as a people, because otherwise we are just doing the bidding of our enemies, who are really, really happy. I don't want to make the enemy happy.
No, we can't.
When I grew up in the church, Brother Fred, they used to have a saying. They say, I'm so glad that the devil is mad because he missed the soul that he thought he had. So I get happy when the devil is mad, and he's mad when we don't fall for the traps that he's laid for us. And so I'm all about that. But I would love to come back.
Thank you. I'm
get
glad.
into the book.
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing your platform with me, brother. Much success to you and to your family.
We're gonna grow together.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's right, my brother. That's right.
And thank you for coming in. And we'll open up. Can we open up next time you come? We'll have to open up the phone lines.
Sure.
That surely be all. I didn't know you were gonna stay for 2 hours, or else I would open up the second hour to the phone. But yeah, thank you so much. And
thank you, my brother.
Stay warm, stay healthy, and I look forward to buying your book.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
PPD will reach out to you, and we'll get the book for sure.
Definitely. Thank you so much, my brother. I appreciate you. Yes,
thank
sir.
you. Thank you. Appreciate you. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Woo! Oh man. Hey, let me tell you this, man. Let me tell you this. See, I have, like, y'all know me, but like I've spent like my whole entire adult life studying this. Like